it's a story that it's very mafursim. That as you know, this was everything over here was the whole hill over here was basically like a little government. That's it. The whole Kashmir, the whole area that we over here, it was run by the Yidden for the Yidden, and they meted out justice and punishment and everything. Everything happened over here. So the story goes that the head of the Chevra Kadisha was one day he's sitting in his office and a Yid comes in. He looks like he's in the 30s. He's dressed up as a vagabond. And he comes in and he says, I'd like to buy a plot in the basic forest of the Ramon. So that's not such an unusual event. But the point is that obviously he has to find him a place. It's not so simple. He has to pay money for it. But then he adds the following thing. I want to be buried next to the Megala Mukais. So this is like a joke. It's not a joke. This doesn't make any sense. The guy was like laughing. You want to be married? Okay, look at you, not a youngster, stuff like that. So he says, yeah. He says, I'll do it, whatever it takes. How much does it cost? So the head of the Chevra Kadisha looks at this guy. This guy's young, he's crazy, and he says, okay, you want to be the next Gadol? Give me 1,000 rubles, and everything's good. 1,000 rubles was a fortune, and whatever it is, he just threw up that huge amount of money. The guy goes into his pocket, takes out 5 200 ruble notes, gives it to him and says, I want a star. Okay. So he mamish thinks he's on candid camera. I mean, this is not happening. This whole thing is always, he says, okay, you want a star? I'll write you a star. He's thinking to myself, this is a young fellow. The guy is completely crazy. It's better not to think about his story. And he writes him a star. He goes out and the story is over. But the story is not over. The story is that night. They're told that a man has died. They don't know who he is, where he belongs. He figures out it must be this young fellow, and he buries him at the other end, the basic forest, probably next to the Holy Miser. I've just added that. Let's get there, far away, far away. So the next night, the head of the Chevra Kadisha goes to sleep. And this guy comes to him in a chalaim and says, we have a deal. I'm holding the star in the gym. We have a deal over here. And he says, you better listen to me. He says, okay. He wakes up the next morning. It's just a dream. It's probably his fears. The second night he comes, he says, listen, if you don't listen to me, I'm taking you to a basin. And the basin is going to be the basin Shalmala. So next morning, he's basically in panic mode because he's being threatened to die. And he runs to the Megala Amuk. Excuse me. He runs to the Megala Amukas was already not alive, but the Bach outlived the Megala Amukas. So he runs to the Bach, and he tells him the story. So the first thing the Bach did is he says to him, "What you did was mamish terrible. Okay, you took the guy's money. You had no intention of doing it. You didn't discuss it with everything. That you should learn your lesson once and for all. But you don't do such things. But now you have a problem because he will take you up to Beis Shammai unless we do something." So he says, what am I supposed to do? So it's a sugi of a smachta, right? He says, I never had any intention. The whole thing was a joke for me, right? He took his money, but the whole thing was that the whole thing was, I didn't plan to do it. So he says, okay. He says, what I'll do is that tomorrow we're going to convene a Beis Din. I'm going to bring 2 other big rabbanim, and we're going to be mazmin, the nifta, to come from Yeshiva Shemal to Yeshiva Shalmata, and they put a chair from him. And one version says it was with a curtain, another version says it was without a curtain. And there he was. Okay, no one could see him except for the Bach. And the Bach says, this fellow over here says the whole thing's no smachta. And then a voice came from the chair and said, no, this was absolutely a done deal. I had the star. I had every intention that I wanted to be buried next to the Megala Amukas. So at that point then, it says that the Bach confers with the Beis Din and says, if you insist on being buried next to the Megala Amukas, he says, I can't force him to do it, but if that's the way it's supposed to be, you take care of yourself. You take care of yourself. The next day, the place where he was buried was found empty, and a new mound was found right next to the Megala Amukas, and apparently it was written on it, Magid Lav Reya. What's the pasuk? Magid Lav Reya. Okay, in other words, you see Magid Lav Reya, that you can see how great this person was by who he's buried next to. That's what they wrote on this person's kever. They realized that he was some kind of a Helig Lamed Vavnik, And that is a little bit of a story that shows you, number one, the greatness of the Bach that you can see, right, and the greatness of this hidden Yid, and most of all, that we're saying to Hill now by the Megala Mukitz.
Where's he buried?
Where's that television buried now?
Where's he buried?
So my friend says that Magdal Hebreo, he has a way of figuring out, I don't know how. It's written, if anyone can see the words Magdal Hebreo anywhere.
Who are these two?
There's
These
children.
are family members.
This is a daughter. It says right there, Basra Abbas.
This is his wife and his daughter.
In those days, they